Hello everybody and welcome back. So as you can see, we are back in Roblox in the meantime, playing Marvel New Journey. And we're gonna just pop in here as kind of background. I am playing it live as I'm talking to you, but it's kind of just gonna be a background. Okay, it's not loading right now. Does this game work? Oh, this is amazing. Okay, hold on. Before we get into any of this, we're going to do a little bit of a different video today. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to be talking to you about Marvel. I myself am a massive Marvel fan, and I'm kind of just saying screw it, and I'm going to start making videos that I want to make. Not to say that I haven't wanted to make any videos that I've made in the past, but this is what I'm really excited about, is Marvel and the MCU. So here we are back in Roblox as just a familiar setting while we get into putting the pieces together of Phase 4. Part 1 at least. I don't know if I'm going to make any more of these videos. We'll have to see how this one goes. First off, let's see our choices here. We've got Wanda. We've got Jean Grey. Okay. Agatha. That's pretty cool. Although I bet the people who actually make and made this game know nothing about Agatha Harkness from the comics. Monica Rambeau. Pretty cool. Storm and the Invisible Woman. But that's neither here nor there. I'm going to be Vision because I love Vision. He's my second favorite Avenger, probably. Okay, let's deploy and let's start talking. And here we are. It's a pretty cool model, I must say. Whoa. Wanda! Ow, you would do this to Vision? I find that highly doubtable. Okay, well, either way, I don't care much. This person obviously spends a lot of money in the game, so let's start. So, spoilers are... Wow, that's what it does? Okay. We're not going to play this game. Give me 1 second. Okay, guys, that was absolutely atrocious. So, we're here in Marvel and DC Superheroes, and we're going to get into it without any of that ridiculously annoying stuff. I don't actually know what's going on at all right now. I'm just standing in a room, but let's spawn in. Okay, who shall we be? Thor, definitely the strongest out of those options in my opinion, but okay, let's get some high ground here and actually get into it. I'm sorry for digressing so much. Spoilers incoming if you haven't seen Shang-Chi, Moon Knight, at least up to episode 3, and Ms. Marvel. And potential spoilers for Ant-Man 3, but that movie isn't out yet, so don't know if any of this is going to be accurate. Let's get into it. So, in the very beginning of Shang-Chi, we are told that his father, Wenwu, found the 10 rings, potentially, no one really knows, but he could have found them in a tomb. Okay, keep that in mind. Now, let's jump back even further back in time. In fact, to jump back even further back in time, we have to jump forward in time first. It's the year 3000, and a descendant of the legendary Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four, his ancestor in the year 3000, his name is Nathaniel Richards. He is extremely smart, and society in the 3000s is extremely streamlined, peaceful, very boring, and kind of just, it's the age of excellence and peace. and there's nothing really going on. And Nathaniel Richards, he's bored with his life, and he wants a little bit of excitement. So he is not only a descendant of Reed Richards, but he's also a descendant of Victor Von Doom. So he goes, I don't quite remember exactly how he gets to an old Doctor Doom facility with some of his old tech in it. And right before he's about to interact with this Doombot, which is like a robot with the power of Doctor Doom that Doctor Doom makes, which is ancient at this point, or not really ancient, but quite old. So he's about to activate it, but then all of a sudden, Kang comes through a portal next to him and kind of shows him, reveals to him, hey, I'm you from the future. This is what we become, and this is the power that you hold within the universe. Because Kang is Nathaniel Richards. Nathaniel Richards discovered time travel, or built upon time travel. He discovered alternate universes, and through his endeavors into different universes and across time, he created infinite versions of himself. And he's kind of like the ruler of time in the Marvel Universe. That's a little backstory on Kang. So, that's our flash forward. Kang, in his first little escapade, once he becomes the Kang himself, is he goes back in time to ancient Egypt, the ancient Egyptian times, and he becomes Pharaoh Rama-Tut. And he rules in Egypt. There seems to be Ultron bots? Yes. Oh, this is a battle going on. I gotta get out of here. So, he goes back and rules as Rama-Tut. We don't really know how much of this is going to be adapted into the MCU, or any of the details if it is adapted. Because if it is adapted, it's going to be slightly different than in the comics, but still it will hold pretty much the same content and story beats. Which is, and we know Kang ruled as Rama-Tut in the MCU because in Moon Knight episode 3, we can see on the back of the denim jacket of those 3 guys that Mark is fighting on the rooftop in Egypt. On the back of that young kid's denim jacket is a print of the headpiece of Pharaoh Rama-Tut, and green and blue and purple, which are the colors of Kang. And the costume designers for Moon Knight were actually asked about this potential connection, and they actually confirmed that it was a Kang Easter egg. Not necessarily confirming, yes, Kang existed as Rama-Tut in the MCU. This is where the theory crafting comes in. If Wenwu found the 10 rings supposedly in a tomb, and he existed thousands of years ago, and the rings gave him eternal life, essentially. What if he found the rings in the tomb of Pharaoh Rama-Tut? Now, Kang doesn't lose. He can never really lose because he controls time, so he knows what's going to happen, and anything that he does is always just a strategic move. So, in the comics, the Fantastic Four go back in time and stop Kang in his rule over the Egyptians as Rama-Tut. We don't know if that's what happens in the MCU, but he could have been defeated and then left the 10 rings in his tomb on purpose. And what if, guys, he was leaving them on purpose so that Wenwu could get them? And why he would want Wenwu to get them, we will answer in just a second. So, let's jump into some physiology and genetics. One interesting link between Shang-Chi, Kamala Khan, and also kind of Peter Quill is that their parentage is kind of the same, which is one parent is a human and another parent is a person from another universe or another dimension. In Shang-Chi's case, his dad is just a human and was given eternal life by the rings, and his mom exists from the Talo universe, which is another universe. It's not even another dimension. So her genetics are different, and her DNA is different. So Shang-Chi, being a child born from a human and someone with altered genetics, is a mutant. And the reason we know he's a mutant is because Kamala Khan in Ms. Marvel was at the end, the very last scene of the show, was Bruno coming up to her and telling her that she's a mutant because her dad, yes, is just a human, but her mom is the granddaughter of a clandestine, which is a person from the light dimension, which might be another universe. That's not entirely confirmed just yet, but she is from the light dimension. So she's a mutant because of that, and very well Shang-Chi could be a mutant. So what powers, and they're both not mutants as far as I know in the comics. Kamala Khan definitely not. I don't know if Shang-Chi is. How do we know what abilities has Shang-Chi shown to know that he's a mutant? Well, other than him wielding the rings, which I don't know, maybe anyone can do that, I'm not sure. When he wielded the rings, if you remember, the blue power that Wenwu had been able to access from the rings suddenly turned to orange. I think his mom was able to do the same thing with her altered genetics to the rings earlier in the movie. So he turns the rings' power to orange, and when he does that, it sends a signal to someone, and we find that out in the post-credit scene for Shang-Chi, that him activating the orange energy of the rings sent out some sort of pulsing signal to someone, and they don't know who. That very well could be Kang. Now we know because of the Ant-Man 3 trailers that Kang is currently living in likely Chronopolis inside of the Quantum Realm, which is his time city. So, does that pulsating signal go to his quantum city in the quantum realm to let him know that the rings have been activated? I don't know for what, or if he needs them, but you might see in the Ant-Man 3 trailer, there's a little scene that shows the inside of Kang's city and what is likely his time chair that allows him to time travel around is supported by a bunch of these glowing blue rings. And if you look at the rings, the energy that's on the inside of the rings, although they're way, way larger and kind of like a different shape than a different ring structure. It's kind of like a flat ring than like a thick ring. The energy inside looks awfully similar to that blue energy of the 10 rings. So, what did activating it do? Why would Kang need them? We don't know that yet. Likely something to do with time travel. Now, let's talk about time travel. In Ms. Marvel, Kamala kind of has a similar experience with activating something new with her artifact. And when she puts the bangles on, a little piece on the top and the bottom get extended out, uncovering an inscription that she doesn't know how to read, but in episode 5, we find out from Waleed that it means what you seek is seeking you. Oh, no, maybe that's episode 4. I'm not entirely sure. And then in the flashback episode, which I'm pretty sure is episode 5, we find out that what you seek is seeking you is what Kamala's great-grandmother, Aisha, whispered into the bangle during the partition when Kamala's grandmother got lost and was trying to find her dad so that they could make it out to continue their lives, right? That would result in Kamala being in that very moment. Aisha whispers, what you seek is seeking you into the bangle, and it summons Kamala kind of back in time to save Sana, her grandmother, with the quote-unquote trail of stars that was referenced earlier in like episode 1 or 2 as like that old family story that everyone's heard, but it was actually Kamala who did it back in time. But she was only brought back in time because Kamran's mother, the clandestine, stabbed the bangle and it made some great white flash and she was sent back in time. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. So maybe the bangle has some sort of time traveling aspect. That complicates a lot of things in regards to trying to figure out what the bangles are in the first place, because we find out in that flashback scene in the beginning of episode 4, I think, when the clandestines are in the Ten Rings Temple. Keep in mind, this is a Ten Rings Temple. We see a Ten Rings insignia on the ground. They find on the arm of a dead alien Kree inside of a Ten Rings temple. This stuff is like crazy where it can connect and lead to. They find one bangle. There's a couple questions that arise in this scene. Is that Kree a member of the Ten Rings? If he was, who killed him? Was it the clandestines or was it the Ten Rings? If it was the Ten Rings, and he was a member or not, regardless, and they killed him, why didn't they take the bangle? Also, they mention that there's a second bangle out there somewhere because some unnamed person that they spoke to had mentioned, you're gonna need 2. So that means that there's a second bangle out there. There are 2 artifacts in the comics that are 2 bangles. There's the quantum bands and there's the nega bands. And the quantum bands are used by a hero called Quasar. And they have powers quite similar to Captain Marvel's powers and whatnot. The nega bands are used by a hero I don't quite remember the name of, but also linked to a man named Rick Jones. And what happens, and that might be Quasar, I could be mixing them up. Either way, Rick Jones and this hero, whenever the negabands are activated, it swaps both of their places between the negative zone and the our universe, our dimension. Which is seemingly what happened with Carol Danvers and Kamala at the end of Ms. Marvel. So, guys, the pieces are there. They're put in place, and they kind of fit together. But you have to understand, in phases 1, 2, and 3, their story was so much smaller in scale than what they're doing with this next multiverse saga. The fact that things aren't tying together yet is not a bad thing. It just means that these future projects that we're going to get within the next 1, 2, 3 years are going to tie everything from the past 2 years together. And it's going to blow everybody's minds, and it's going to be written so well, and it's just going to bring the whole MCU to a whole nother level. And I'm doing my best right here with you guys to kind of figure out where it's going. Let me know what you think of all this down in the comments. I wrote all this down last night, and I'm just checking to see if I left anything out. So, a couple questions to round everything off. A couple questions that I am still left with after connecting all these pieces, you know. Why does Kang want the rings? If he does Kang want the bangle, and why would he want the bangle? Is it for time travel? Can the rings and the bangle be used together? I'd really like to see that happen. What happens when you have both bangles? Why didn't that Kree that had the one bangle have the other? Is it because that one person in one dimension needs to have one bangle and another person in another dimension needs to have one bangle? That could make sense, but that's not supported by the Ms. Marvel post-credit scene when Carol and her switch places, but Carol doesn't have a bangle on, so that wouldn't seem to be the case. Where is that second bangle? Who owned the bangles in the past? Was it some sort of cosmic hero? Do the bangles connect to the quantum realm at all, or are they only linked to this light dimension? What is the light dimension? Is it like the opposite of the dark dimension that we encountered in Doctor Strange? Is the dark dimension the negative zone? Because that's what it looks like for how the negative zone is portrayed in the comics. It looks like how the dark dimension is portrayed in the MCU. There's still so many questions. And the best thing, guys, you have to keep this in mind, is that they're all going to be answered. Kevin Feige would not let any question that's obvious, all these questions that I'm coming up with are obvious because I'm coming up with them. If I'm able to come up with a question, it's an obvious question. He's not going to let any of those go unanswered. There's going to be answers to everything, and that's kind of dope. It's the Green Goblin. Oh my gosh. Watch out, buddy. Oh man, this would be a cool fight to see, wouldn't it? Raimi's Green Goblin versus Thor. That'd be sick. Either way, guys, I hope you enjoyed all this. Sorry that I didn't do much fighting. I had to do quite a lot of talking, and when I'm not doing a voiceover gameplay, doing actual gameplay is quite hard. But I hope you enjoyed this Thor flying around simulator with a stamina bar. Let me know what you think of my theories. I know this was quite different, and maybe some of my younger viewers aren't going to be into this, and I'm sorry, guys, but I'm not saying this is going to be all of the videos from now on, but I'm definitely going to want to make more videos like this in the future. And I could actually make a video that kind of talks about Black Panther and tying it together with the Eternals and Age of Ultron, so I might work on that at some point. Let me know if you would like that. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.